show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So do you go by Steven or Steve?
I go by a lot of things. Steven or Steve, or my middle name's Alex. Some family calls me Alex, so I'm good for you. Call me whatever.
That's kind of like my family. If anybody calls me Kurt, they either grew up with me or they're from my family because it's Curtis now, and everybody. If I hear that, I know there's somebody from my past.
Yeah, actually, so the family called me Alex, and when I started years ago with the company I work for, there was already an Alex, and they said, "Well, what do you want us to call you?" And I said, "Well, you got an Alex, so call me Steve."
And it stuck.
Yeah, it stuck. So here I am.
All right. Let me see. I'm going to pull up some comments here. I see you've already been in the comments. There you go.
I'm there. I'm with you.
And Victor's here. Thank you, David. Well, one of the things I like to ask people, because I'm kind of surprised at the number of people that have kind of just stumbled into HVAC or HVAC and refrigeration, because I've said this many times. At least when I went through school, they were pushing college. And I mean, I was in these college prep classes. I was making good grades. And I thought that was the way to go. And it just didn't work out for me. So it was late in life that I came into HVAC, and I am loving it. It challenges me mentally. I like being able to do something with my hands and see that I have fixed something, or look for a problem, find it, and fix it. I love the whole challenge of all of that. And it's just, in fact, I like that so much. If I have to do a preventive maintenance, I really don't like it because it's just monotonous kind of work, But do you have a similar story? Did you try to start something else, or did you go right into HVAC?
No, I started straight out of high school and just kind of stumbled into it. Like you said, I had a friend of mine that owns his own company now, and we went to the same company, and I didn't know what HVAC was. We were doing grunt work, we were doing commercial install, so it was a lot of carrying duct upstairs and going to get tools for people. I had no idea what I wanted to do out of high school. It was the same deal for me. It's pushing college, and you got to go to college. And college, I wasn't going to do the college thing. So,
Well, I mean, for some people, hey, that's great, but I happen to see where some of these college jobs, we've been trying to teach kids how to code computers for years now, and all these executives at Amazon are being laid off because of AI, and AI ain't coming for my job.
yep.
I don't see that. There is just no way, and so I am not worried about job security when it comes to all this AI stuff.
That's the beauty of the trades. So you're going to get out there and get your hands on it. You got to have boots on the ground, man. You can't, AI is not climbing the roof or, going in a crawl space or an attic or something to fix them.
Yeah, you got that exactly right. I briefly mentioned this before we came on about that video you published. I want to talk about that cooling tower that you were working on, because in my mind's eye, when I think of a cooling tower, it's shaped like a V. It's got a great big old fan on the top of it. I've not seen one shaped like that. Is that normal?
Yeah, I mean they're all different shapes and sizes, right? Like everything else. But that was a snippet from some testing I was doing after a service call. Actually, there's a full video on that building and kind of shows the whole setup. But that's an old building downtown. There's about 6 floors of 16 or so water source heat pumps inside, and that is the cooling tower that sits on the roof. It's a little old and falling apart, but Um, what I was shown was the pump wasn't moving enough water or the
Yeah.
amount of water that it should be, and you could see that in the amp draw. And it was actually a callback. So we had another guy out there, and he said it's working. You know, the water's flowing, everything looks normal, but it was working kind of, just not to its full capacity.
Well, didn't you try to do something to prime that pump?
I was trying to let the water. There's a little bypass, so I opened the valve and it let some water out to try to get it to start flowing. So the seals were leaking on it. So what happens is when the pump shuts off, all the water, the head that it's got in the PVC that goes up to the top, it leaks out, and then it can't restart.
Oh, so that's a bigger problem now.
Yeah, we had to. That pump got rebuilt. We rebuilt the steel.
Hmm.
That was a tricky one. That whole building was a little bit of a nightmare.
Let me see.
My guy Jason's in the chat here. He kind of helped me with that one. He's a smart dude, and I had some questions on how to get the air out of that system because I had to replace a pump down in the basement, and it was one of those. They sent me on a Friday, handed me a pump, said, "Hey, go put this pump in." And I went out there, and I'm going, "Hey, wait a minute, this is a bad idea. It's an old building downtown. It's a bar, and the pump had no isolation valve. So I'm like, I'm going to drain 6 stories of water if I take this pump out right now. I think I'm not going to do that." And so I kept it running through the weekend, and we kind of backed up and punted and came back Monday and got everything done.
Um, I don't work on. Speaking of priming pumps, I don't work on fuel oil very much, but I had to go change a filter in one of them, and change a filter and the nozzle. Basically, somebody else diagnosed it. I was working at another company, and I had to go do it. And I knew nothing about priming those little pumps. I was clueless. I try to turn the thing back on, and it won't run. And I probably spent 30 minutes on the phone trying to figure out how to
But
prime it. And I get oil all over me. I smelled like diesel by the time I was done.
yeah, fuel oil is
Luckily,
tricky.
I don't work on those very much. I mean, fuel oil down here is rare. It's really rare.
Yeah, I figured that. We see some of it down here. So I've worked on some in the past. We have a lot of your automotive shops will use waste oil. And that's even worse because it's nasty oil a lot of times. But it's
Really? They can burn that?
you burn anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of your automotive shops, if your Jiffy Lubes and stuff like that, they'll dump the oil in a tank and keep it warm, and they feed it to heaters.
That must be a mess on like those little nozzles and your filters and all that stuff.
Yeah, you got to keep everything clean.
Well, is it a different setup than a fuel oil setup, or you have to
I think
modify it?
I don't. I mean, I'm sure like the nozzles and stuff might be a little different, but I think it's the same idea. I mean, your same nozzle, you blow it in there and make a flame, and it burns like anything else.
Mm. Let me see. Once again, that's something that Jason knows about.
Jason knows a lot about a lot.
uh, I have not worked on those. I remember when about the time I was 18, there was this craze that people were using cooking oil from like Kentucky Fried Chicken and burning it in their cars.
That seems like a bad idea.
They were, and if you got behind one, it would smell like French fries or something. They had to put some kind of heater back there to keep it warm and a filter, and it would burn like diesel.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, I've seen multiples of those. I've never owned a car that did anything like that, but that was a fad back in the day. It must not be worth it because they're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Other than the smell, it smell like fried chicken and French fries. I can deal with that.
It really did. It really did. Well, I remember because there was this one BMW that would come through, a BMW diesel, and they would pick up the oil, and then they would process it themselves. But I remember being around his vehicle when it was running, and it smelled like kind of like French fries.
Nice.
Yeah, that was one of my first jobs. I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I man, I worked at Rose's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut. I had a bunch of like high school jobs back in the day. In fact, the Pizza Hut one was the best one because I got into delivering pizzas, and for a high school kid, that can be good money.
Yeah. They get tips too.
Yeah, and like the pizza places around here now, they only go like 5 miles, and if you're outside that 5 miles, you got to do Grubhub or something like that.
Hmm.
Where I worked, we had a 30-mile radius, and my store was nothing but delivery. So I was delivering all night. I would come home with $100 in tips. And
That's good for a teenage kid.
I know it. And you talking about like in 1988, that was great. That was fantastic.
My first job, I worked on a farm. Actually, it's funny. I'm from the city, but I worked on a farm in the middle of the city that we used to cut all the mint for the Kentucky Derby. Years ago, that small farm in the middle of Louisville, they would cut all the mint for the Kentucky Derby. Make mint juleps and stuff like that. On a on your hands and knees in a field full of mint, and you just grab and slice and bundle them up and throw them in a bucket.
That's kind of. You did tell me you were from Kentucky. What parts of Kentucky?
I'm from Louisville, so it's a right on the river across from Indiana.
Okay.
So
Um,
we're right near the river. Louisville's probably it's the biggest city in Kentucky, I guess.
is Louisville the home of the University of Kentucky?
No, Kentucky University of Louisville is in Louisville. Kentucky is in Lexington,
Oh, that's
which
right.
is which is about 60 miles east of Louisville.
Okay, so Louisville, the ACC team, you know what I'm talking
Mhm.
about?
Yep,
That's where you're from.
yep. I'm a
Okay.
Kentucky fan though, so
Well, that's good. As long as they're not playing Georgia, I'll pull for any SEC team.
well, we've already switched to basketball season now because our football team's terrible. So
So is Kentucky more of a basketball school?
yeah, that's that's the big thing. The football team's improved, but it's we got a rough road with y'all and Texas now and Oklahoma and everybody else. It's a hard road during football season.
Yeah, I thought it would be a little bit different the way the SEC's lining up now because there's not an East and a West, and Kentucky ended up in the West with these powerhouse schools, and now it's more mixed up. So I felt like schools like South Carolina and Kentucky and Arkansas might get a better chance of having a more even schedule.
Yeah, it's just always like it's always a tough road, man. I mean, we played Texas last week. It's like what do you we can't hardly compete with them, and you're still fighting for even second place because we got 12 teams now in the playoffs. So like you got a shot, but you still got to be pretty damn good to get through the Alabamas and the Georgias and
And what
Texas.
and what's the deal with Alabama? I feel like they got some kind of black magic, or they're doing roots on all the other teams. Like I felt like when they were playing Georgia, Georgia was a better team, but Georgia just cannot seem to beat Alabama. I don't know what the deal is. I pull my hair out every time I watch them. I'm like, what's going on?
They got some big old boys, man. Either way, that's Georgia and Alabama get all those dudes, and you got those linemen fight it out, man. It's hard. Kentucky's got some linemen lately that have been able to compete in the SEC, but for years, if you didn't have the big guys up front, you could have receivers and everything else all you wanted, but if you ain't got a line to block for them, you ain't doing nothing.
But you know something? I don't know how we got off on talking about football, but
I'm from college
I was
football
wa-
town, man.
I was watching the Texas A&M and the LSU game, and there was this one defensive player who was playing like on the end, who was physically fit. He was muscular, and he was lined up against this like 350-pound lineman, and this physically fit guy from Texas A&M was just running around him. I mean, he was making him look like a joke, and that guy was holding him the whole game. And I'm just like, I don't see the advantage of being almost 400 pounds if somebody can do that to you.
I mean, if you're not fast, I mean, you get up to NFL, and some of those dudes are 6'7", 350, and they can run a 4.4.
Yeah, you're right. All right, who's Mr. Bourbon?
Oh, it's Jason again. Well, Kentucky's home of bourbon. We do bourbon and horses, man.
Bourbon and horses.
Bourbon, horses, and basketball.
Okay. Well, I'll get in. I'm probably going to do a whole nother live just on CRMs, but we were talking about CRMs just a second ago, and I'm starting to use House Call Pro. I've been using QuickBooks Online forever, but the CRMs offer some options that are helpful, like in the logistics. When you schedule a customer, they're notified that they have been scheduled, and they know what time the schedule is and who's coming out. And then when you hit on the way, they know you're on the way, and they can follow your route. Little things like that CRMs do.
That's nice. That's helpful, especially for the customers too.
And it makes you look more professional. Somebody like me, just a one-man show, makes me look a little more professional. So one of the reasons I didn't have a video today is because I was in the office in Zoom calls and all this other stuff, trying to figure out all the different things that I can do with this CRM, from hooking up my Google business account. So when somebody with a Google Gmail account leaves a review, it shows up in Google. Just little stuff like that to boost the number of reviews.
Yeah.
And I went through a whole thing with their bookkeeping thing that they're offering. I'm not real sure what it is or what it's good for, but it's not for me. That's
Yeah, I mean, they can do a lot of things. So we've been looking at something, to help take the calls that come in and the emails that come in and kind of divert them to the right place to where they need to go. And we've been looking at some different things, not similar to what you're talking about, but not quite the same. But there's just so many options and so many things that they can do. I mean, the AI can take an email and read it for you and go, okay, well, you want this. And then it can go pull a document and say, okay, here's this document. Look at this, and try to answer their question so we don't have to. There's a lot of different things that they can do.
That would be really useful. I'm going to tell you, probably a third of my calls come through email. And when I'm working, I don't answer the phone. I'm not looking through email. I'm not checking text messages. So if AI could book calls like they can through the phone calls by looking at my email, that would be really helpful.
There's all kinds of things out there now, man. It's an interesting world we live in.
Oh yeah. Speaking of interesting, have you seen, I got to talk about this because it just came across like my Instagram feed. This, what is it? AI Atlas thing that's coming through our
I haven't seen that.
solar system.
I have not seen that.
All right. Some people are saying it's a comet, and some people are saying it's not a comet at all because it's got lights all over it. And then Japan produced a video of it today, and it does look like it has lights all over it. So I hadn't heard anything about it until today. Well, actually, I had, but I just kind of blew it off. Like, yeah, conspiracy stuff. But man, I don't know. I saw that video that came from Japan, and I'm like, wow, I don't know what that is.
We all got cameras now, so it's easy. It seems like it's easy to catch something on camera that it's like nobody can explain. And now there's AI, so you can't tell what's real and what's not real.
Oh, speaking of AI, okay. my Instagram feeds, and I don't get on TikTok that much, but Instagram is full of AI. It's everywhere. Like probably more than 70% of the videos that are showing up in my feed have something to do with AI. And I think it's because I see it and it registers as something's a little bit different. So I watch it. And then once I watch it, here comes another one and another one and another one. It's
The
not
algorithms work, man.
and it's not that I'm super interested in the AI videos. It's that they're kind of intriguing because they're so good.
Yeah. Well, it's that, and it's clickbait. I mean, just like anything else, put a good thumbnail out there. It didn't have anything to do with what you're doing, but somebody will click on it. I mean, that's the idea. The
Yeah.
algorithm works. Once you click on something and watch something, it's going to feed you more of that.
I've got to mention. I texted Ryan Hughes about some of the AI stuff that he's doing because at first I thought it was just crazy. I mean, come on. But it's funny. His stuff is funny. And I was so I just wanted to talk to him about it. And I just thought it was funny. I don't know if it's crazy or ingenious. I don't know.
Some of it's good. I've seen a lot of his too, and I've not texted him yet, but I've thought the same thing. I want to know how he's doing it.
Like one of the last ones, he was like welding on it, soldering on a compressor. A line blows. He grabs a hold of the
New
compressor, takes
compressor.
off into space. I'm sorry, that's just funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's some good ones out there. I think you can just feed it. So I was talking to a guy at work today, and he was showing me similar stuff, and it's an app that he has, and you feed it a picture, and you say, "Hey, make this, do this," and it makes a video, and it does it all, and it's like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, you've got to be able to have the imagination to tell it what to do with the
Yeah,
picture, come up with something funny. So I don't know. It's different. It's
yeah,
different, and it seems to be everywhere now. Everywhere, even on YouTube. YouTube's a little different. They if you're going to post a YouTube video, they ask you if it's altered content or if it's AI. And I think that's on purpose to either discourage it or let advertisers know that there might be some altered content in the video.
yeah.
But I just don't see as much of the AI stuff on YouTube. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's probably less. I mean, you're getting a lot of those quick, videos on Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that. It's easier to throw those out there. YouTube's more of a long form. They've been trying to fight with their shorts, but it's more of a long form
It
platform.
is, and for me, I enjoy doing the long form. So Mark, he's asking, Curtis, are you using the online booking from House Call Pro? Okay. Actually, I just signed up for their AI answering service so that now y'all might know that I used to be on board with Free to Grow, and they were doing this AI answering, and they would book calls and all this other stuff. But I had um I had a little bit of difficulty with that, and part of it was data entry into my customer base. They were unable to do that, and then I had another problem, but I quit using them. So I'm trying this House Call Pro because they can identify if it's a new customer or if it's an old customer. They can put them on my schedule. And if it's a new customer, they can create the new customer and put in the information, name, address, and phone number, which is a big help. That saves a little bit of time. And in the process, I had to create a link for the online booking, which is basically something you can embed in a website where somebody can book an appointment through your website. But I don't have a website. The website that I maintain is my YouTube page. And I used to maintain a website, and dude, I read like a 700-page book on search engine optimization. I really know how to do that, but it didn't do me any good. It was a lot of work for nothing.
Yeah.
I get more benefit out of maintaining my YouTube page and putting the effort into that. So, like on my business page on Google, when it says your website, my link is to my YouTube page. That's really the only link between my YouTube and my business is that. So if people go to my website, they're going to go to my YouTube page and they're going to get to see my work. So it works out.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing good, honest work, man, that's really all you need these days. There's too many people out there just trying to sell something.
I don't know, but we still have some customers who get lured in by the low prices of some kind of jackleg doing something. And I'm still having to fight against that, even with customers that I've had for years and years.
Yeah.
Like they might disappear for 6 months and then they give me a call and go out to something. And I call them on the phone. I'm like, who's been out here? This is some crappy ass work, you know? And they were like, yeah, I tried somebody. I hope you're not mad at me. You know what I mean? They always come back, but I still have to fight that.
I ain't mad at you. I'm going to be to fix it.
Yeah. I had one where this property manager used somebody for $1,000 to install like a little 1 ton mini split, one head, 1 ton mini split. And like a month later, it wasn't working. He calls me to go out there, and I drug my feet. And like the first day, he asked me to go out there. I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy. And I really was busy. And I don't know who he got to fix it, but kind of
Yeah.
pisses you off a little bit. You know
Yeah.
what I
I mean,
mean?
if it's just put in, you got customers that need you. Like, the hell with you, man. Like, call your buddy back. That's what and then they call back and they never get a hold of them again.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you get. I've seen some crazy things on the commercial side, man. You go behind some people and it's like, oh my, what are you doing?
Mark, that's a good idea. He's saying embed the online link in your YouTube description and social media outlets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I will. Let me see what Jason said. Yeah, it's got to be done twice. Oh my word! And that particular customer, yeah, he's doubly on my naughty list right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got customers that get on that list sometimes, and
I've had some where the managers, we took care of a restaurant for a long time years ago, and the managers took care of the service calls and stuff. So they started with a handyman company, and then when it didn't work and it was problematic, they would call us. And I went down and talked to one of the managers one time. I said, next time you call me and I come out here and your handyman's been here first, I'm not touching it. And I took pictures of everything, and I'm like, look, this is what you paid for. I don't know what you paid the guy, but you paid too much. And I basically told him to stop.
I worked for a big company here in town, and I got a call to a hotel, and it was about an Aeon unit. They had this great big Aeon unit that was actually, it looked like it was on another building, but it was ducted to the hotel, and it provided air for the hallways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's typical.
And I was called over there for that. And while I'm on the roof, I'm walking around and I'm seeing, like for the kitchen, one of these exhaust vents just laying over on its side. I walk past a condenser for something else and the panel's off. And I get over to the Aeon unit and I spent an hour tracing down wires trying to figure out why this compressor won't come on. And I find where the maintenance man has cut the wires on the pressure switch to test them. And they had spade connectors on them. All you had to do was pull them off. And
Genius.
I went right down to their manager and said, this guy is going to cost you money. He's making my job twice as hard. he's leaving stuff exposed up on the roof. He told me he leaves it exposed like that to remind him that he's got to go back and do something.
That's hilarious.
I was just like, and I went back and told my boss, I said, y'all might want to think twice before you take calls from these people
Yeah.
because of their maintenance man.
You get a lot of that in commercial. That's a lot. The maintenance guys are always the first ones there, and some of them are good, some of them are not, and they're all willing to get in there. Especially you're talking industrial maintenance guys. They're willing to get their hands in there and do some stuff, even when they don't know what they're doing.
That's on the job training right there.
Yep.
Oh my! Speaking of maintenance, I just picked up a new apartment complex, and they've got these crazy apartment style air handlers where the motor's behind the evaporator coil, and there's really no good way to get it out. They called me to one of these apartments and didn't tell me anything. I walk in the apartment, and there's a new blower motor sitting on the floor. So I immediately asked the people living there. I was like, "Well, how long's your air conditioner been out?" It's been out for like 7 weeks. They've tried to fix it 3 different times and they couldn't. So I pull this cover because these air handlers basically they have the filter right there on the wall and they have a metal cover over them. I pulled the cover off and this thing is completely disassembled. They were trying to change the blower motor and disconnected the coil where they could and yanked it down, and then they boogered up the shaft on this blower motor and they were trying to pound it through on top of this coil. So the coil's damaged and the air handler's in pieces. And I was just like, man, this is going to take me forever to try to fix this. And then I got to talking to the customers, and they said, "Well, last time somebody came out, they added some Freon to it, and it worked fine." And that was it. I was like, you know what?
I'm out.
It's replace or nothing. You know what I mean? It was that bad. It was terrible.
Some of those are hard to access. I've worked on some hotel units that are similar. They shove them in this tight closet, and it's like once it's in there, you almost got to pull it out to do any work on it.
Well, I did one the other day. I had access to the back of the air handler. I just cut it open,
Yeah,
pulled it out the back. That was the easiest way to do it. But and the reason I did that, I could have reached over the coil and changed them like that, put some cardboard down and drop the squirrel cage and try to pull the blower out. I've done it many times, but I looked at the shaft and the shaft had a lot of rust on it, and I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do it.
yeah.
So that's why I pulled it out the back, because if you in that situation, if you got to put a wheel puller on it, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pull the coil out.
That was the beauty of a lot of the hotels in those tight spots is they would keep a spare. So when they had one go down, they would take it out, and they had a place in their shop where you could wire it up and run it to test it and figure out what was going on. You fix it, and then they've got another spare. So when something goes bad, they take that one, put it in, take the other one out, and that kind of works well.
I worked for it was like apartments, but it was like a dormitory for our little college we have here, Albany State. Well, actually, it was a different campus for a different school, but now it's all Albany State. But they had these what are called vertical PTACs. You know what those are?
Yeah, just
Basically, they got ductwork coming out the top of them.
Yeah.
And I convinced them to buy an extra so that I could take one that had failed, take it to the shop, fix it, while the extra is keeping the apartment cool. And then when I get the one fixed, they just put it in storage until that happens again.
That's the best way to do it.
It made sense to me.
Yeah.
Victor's talking about those ring. That is a really stupid design. Ream does make those, and I'll be honest, that is the first apartment style air handler. That's what I call them, that I had ever seen. And I got in touch with my rude supplier, and I said, "Are these things supposed to be disposable?" I mean, that's the first thought you get. I mean, you got to remove the coil to change the blower motor. That don't make any sense.
There's a lot of bad designs out there, man, on all kinds of equipment. They don't think about the guy that has to service it or work on it. They put it together and they ship it out the door. That's their job, is build it, ship it out.
You
You ain't
know,
making money if you don't ship stuff.
I got into like almost like an argument with an engineer on some of my comments one time because I was complaining about the engineers designing such crap. And I, he basically said that if they designed an air conditioner that was easy to work on, it would be so big and so expensive nobody would buy it. And he said his hands were tied by the accountants. There was only so much they could do. So I called him out on that because if you remember, not too long ago, Ream used to make two style condensers. They would have the rectangles and the cubes.
Yeah,
The cubes were cheaper, but they were harder to work on. And I almost always bought the rectangles. And I know a lot of contractors that did the same thing because they were easy to work on. So I told him about that. I'm like, that's not true. If you make it easy to work on, people will buy it. And,
they at least see that in the end.
yeah, and so they can design some stuff that's easy to work on, and that's just a case example where they should.
Yeah. No, I've seen it from the other side now. So it's a lot of hoops to jump through to change stuff, and it doesn't get always well thought out in the beginning. They just put it together, and they're trying to. Everybody's kind of trying to compete with the other guys, so they're trying to put it in the same size box, and everything gets shoved in a smaller and smaller cabinet, harder and harder to work on.
Yeah. Speaking of same size box, Carrier has basically had a monopoly on commercial rooftop units for years. I mean, there's been others, but like 80% of them have been Carriers. And now companies like Lennox and Rheem are making rooftop units in the exact same shape as the Carriers. And similar layout, similar design, but they're made to fit on the curb and
Yeah,
just, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
they're using the same shape.
The old Carrier weather makers worked well, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't build them quite the same anymore, but I've worked on a lot of Carrier.
Yeah.
We see a lot of their humidimizers up here. We worked on a local station chain that they would to keep the refrigeration doors from condensating. They used humidimizers, which is same Carrier package in it. It's just got a reheat coil in it and a subcooling coil, so they dehum really well.
De-home is definitely something a lot of restaurants around here could use. I feel like sometimes there was one in particular that was a Mexican restaurant and they had tile floors and the tile would start to sweat. And I knew the company that was caring for that restaurant and everything seemed to be working fine, but they could have used some de-home capabilities in that particular place right there. Because
Yeah,
we're not trying. I've seen there's a couple of YouTubers that work out west and do rooftop stuff, and they might have a regular air conditioner on one side of the building, and then on the other side of the building they got a swamp cooler. I'm like, you're humidifying a space and then removing humidity on the in the same space. That doesn't make any sense. Down here, there's so much humidity you could never ever dream of doing something like that.
yeah. We get humidity here too. It's tricky because a lot of those don't get thought out well enough that you're not especially restaurants. You got to have that makeup air too. So
Mhm.
a lot of the makeup airs are turning into having air conditioning on them too to be able to remove some of that moisture as you're bringing in outside air. Got to treat it if you're bringing it in.
Yeah, that's where I was initiated into the Aeon units. Initially, is the makeup air units with compressors in them and stuff.
Yeah,
So basically, the ones that I remember, they were taken outside air, filtering it, cooling it, and then blowing it in as your makeup air.
Yeah, there's a couple different configurations. I mean, that's what I work on now is like a DOAS unit. Um, so it's there's different configurations and different ways you can do it, but there's a lot of them out there.
And they are expensive.
They are.
They are 3 to 4 times more expensive than a regular package unit. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
They're high.
It's doing a lot of work. A lot of times they're built better too than your basic package unit. You know, these aren't um, on an assembly line that you're building the same thing every day and just shoving it out the door. Ours are engineered to order, so you can order them. Some engineer comes in and designs it, the building and airflow and all this other stuff, and you can
Yeah.
add all the bells and whistles you want.
Yeah. And when you open up the control panel, it can look crazy.
It can be intimidating.
Yes, they can. The commercial stuff that I have worked on, like rooftop units, I'm more familiar with a row of contactors and stuff like that. And now you might have a communicating board with, I don't know, some kind of 5G device on it that's being controlled in another state. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a UC 600, so that's our control board, and everything, the program and everything resides in here. You got IMC communications, so it'll have expansion modules, and they can do different things. But there's, I think, something like 20 inputs and outputs on this, and you get analog inputs, binary outputs. You can basically program them to do anything you want.
It sounds confusing. I worked on top of it was that cosmetic store Ultra, and they had this fancy new Linux, and they had sensors all throughout the building, and they had like 4 different package units, but the sensors were feeding input to these control modules that were being controlled like from Pennsylvania. And they basically had to tell me what was wrong because I couldn't read their sensors and tell them what temperature it's supposed to be reading. They told me that this number one sensor was reading like 80 degrees, or actually it was reading too cold and the air conditioning wouldn't blow in that area.
Yeah.
So I had to go change a sensor. I had to actually change it twice. But those things, yeah, they can be intimidating. There's a lot going on there.
It's like everything else. You got to understand it. Understand the sequence of operations. What's supposed to happen. What's not happening. All of them have different ways and good ways of getting to a diagnosis. It's a little bit of understanding goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jason, are you talking about off-site management?
That's
That's what you're talking.
similar to what you were saying. They do a lot on, especially on chain stores around here. Whatever it is, Lowe's and Hobby Lobby and all those places. They have a third party that monitors and controls everything. So they set the temperatures, and a lot of it's verifying your sensors. So even with the DOAS unit or whatever it is, chillers, they're all the same. If you've got a sensor it's just like a thermostat, right? If you got a sensor that's controlling something and the sensor's not reading right, well, whatever it's controlling is not going to do the right thing because it's not reading the right temperature.
Exactly. When I worked for a bigger company before I went out on my own, I went to a call at a school system, and the problem was the thermostat. Thermostat just wouldn't call for the system to come on. So I go to replace this thermostat, and it's got these 2 extra wires on it that I didn't really know what they were for. So I just kind of pushed them to the side. I replaced the thermostat, going about my business. By the time I get back to the shop, I have shut the whole school's air conditioning system down because that one thermostat can't communicate with their off-site management system. And I was like, well, it was a thermostat. What am I supposed to do? It was like, well, we got to order one specifically from them for that. And so I had to go back and put the one that was not working back on the wall.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Communication's a big thing in those too, because a lot, like I said, the if you've got that controller and then expansion modules, they all have to talk to each other so they're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And those were controlling those I know you've seen them, those barred systems that hang on the outside of the wall.
Yep,
Um at that particular job I worked on plenty of those.
they're a pain to work on too. Tight space.
Yeah. Changing blower motors in them can be a pain. But yeah.
Yeah, Jason says zone stat. Yeah, I mean it's a zone sensor.
Uh-huh. I don't
That's
work
what.
on a lot of commercial anymore. Most of the commercial I work on now that I'm on my own is normally light commercial, maybe 7.5 tons or smaller.
That's not too bad. That keeps you right. I mean, that's probably good work for you too, rather than some of the residential stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. If it's 7.5 tons or smaller, normally everything I can do by myself. I don't need any help lifting a compressor or anything like that. Although I did work on a 7.5 ton compressor, and it was, oh man, I've forgotten what it's called, but it's all put together with bolts and it's sideways and it's got pistons on the sides
Oh,
of it.
semi hermetic.
Semi hermetic. Okay, yeah. And I had to get a crane to lift that up on the roof. That thing was heavy.
Yeah. I've played with a few of those myself. They are heavy. Got to have a crane.
And first of all, when I diagnosed it, I was like, it's just a 7.5 ton. I might be able to pull. No, you
Yeah,
better get you a crane. Those things that's got to be 350 pounds or more. I don't know. It's heavy.
yeah. I've done some 40-ton in those semi hermetics, and I mean it's like the engine in your car.
I
It's
know.
massive, and you can't even if sometimes you can't get them all directly in place. And I fought some that you get it set to where the crane can reach, and then you've got to get that thing. It might just be 6 inches to the left, but trying to get that on a bolt 6 inches to the left with a pry bar and leaning into it, that's a man. You'd kill yourself doing that.
I was working for a company one time and we were working on a church, and this condenser was on the ground. It was a 10-ton condenser. And if you remember these, the compressor had a breaker of itself inside the condenser. You know what I'm talking about?
I've seen something like that. Sounds like a carrier.
Yes, it was a carrier. And it tripped a breaker and it had burned one of the lugs on the compressor. And my boss asked me to get the compressor in the back of my van. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way. It was in a fenced enclosure, and I was able to pry it up and then roll it a little bit at a time and get it out of the fenced enclosure. But there was no way in the hell I could have picked it up. I
Yeah,
just could not do it. So I left it there sitting on the ground.
it didn't go nowhere. Ain't nobody else pick it up either.
Oh man.
I've seen some in some bad spots. The old carriers, depending on which one you're talking about, they were 060 compressors, I think,
That
and they were
sounds that sounds
they
right.
were they were massive and heavy. And I've seen
Very
some in
heavy.
some tricky places, man.
Like my discharge line was a 7/8, and my
Suction like probably inch and an eighth or
inch
something.
and an eighth. That's big for the stuff that I normally work on. That's big.
Yeah, no, that's the fun stuff to work on, though.
And then now we had to use 2x4s to get the new compressor in place. It's sitting on little springs. So you got to lift it up just a little bit and get it over those springs. And every time you lift it up, one of the springs pops out.
I said just moving those things a couple inches ain't easy, man.
No, it's not. Like the one I had to do on the roof with the crane, I had like a little roller dolly. The crane could just lift it over the edge of the building, and we had to roll it over there to the condenser and then manhandle it in there.
Yeah,
But that was a 7.5. That was the lighter of
yeah,
that type
yeah.
of compressor.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, an A-frame and a come along is works well. Set an A-frame up over wherever you need and be able to lift that compressor up and get it out. Makes it a little bit easier.
Good advice. Yeah. Let's see. What are they talking about in the chats here? Jason, what are you talking about? Just a bigger version of whatever works.
Yeah, he's talking about your semi-hermetics, and Jason works on some big stuff, and
I've seen.
it's
I
the
mean,
same idea. It's they're the refrigeration process doesn't change, man. The cycle's the same. It's
cycles the same.
a lot.
Compressors can be huge.
Yeah, it's more bells and whistles.
I remember about the time I quit the last company I was working for. I went to a class on a new type of chiller that was coming out, and instead of one big compressor on this chiller, it had like 8 7.5 ton compressors on it.
It's redundancy. If you lose one, you're not dead in the water. It works, I guess.
Yeah, but I kind of felt like if one of your and it's all using the same refrigeration circuit. So if you
Oh,
have
same
one
thing.
compressor burn out, it kind of contaminates all the others.
It can. Yeah, that's your trick with tandem circuits like that is when one dies, if you got acid, the other one, if you don't replace both, a lot of times you'll kill the other one. So
Isn't that the same case in like the refrigeration racks, like in grocery stores and stuff like that? Aren't they all tied in together?
I think a lot of them are. I haven't done a whole lot of grocery store work on racks and things, but it, you can isolate those from the system, which is something you can't do in your typical package unit. If you've got a tandem pack compressors in a package unit, you can't isolate them. So
No,
a lot of that, all that refrigeration stuff, when you get deep into the supermarkets, you can isolate that compressor and
I've
not have to
seen that.
recover out what's in the compressor, pull the compressor out, put a new one in. And there's filters and all kinds of stuff to help clean stuff like that up.
Yeah, I've seen some of that in Rick's. Some of Rick's
Yeah.
videos. I mean, they have isolation valves, which is really nice.
hmm
Um,
But you're talking 400, 500, 600 pounds of refrigerant, not a package unit with 50 or 100 pounds.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, always good to do both. If we get acid in the system, if you test positive for acid, we do both compressors. Period. No questions asked. If one dies, the other one's going.
Good policy. Makes sense. So, you were talking about the stuff that you're working on. What company are you working at now?
Uh,
And
I
what
work.
are you doing?
Well, I work for KCC. It's Kentucky and a Comfort Center. We manufacture a Train branded DOAS unit. So just kind of like what we were talking about, your Aeons is one of our big competitors. I manage the field support team. So I'm directly dealing with the customers, technicians, uh, service managers, stuff like that are in the field. So we support our units in the field. If you got a problem with one of our units, call me. Reach
I
out to our
see.
tech support guys.
So
We've
you
got.
are tech support.
I am trying not to answer the phones. It's not really my thing, but yes, I'm field support.
Do you
We
go out in the
build.
field with them sometimes?
Well, that's been one of the interesting part of the new gig is I have been able to get out. So I've traveled. Hell, the last 2 weeks I was in Massachusetts and Oklahoma City, um, and getting on site with guys and helping them through problems. So that's been I like doing that. So it's some of my job is in the office. Uh, we do the training on our units too. So I'm involved in some of that. So I'm kind of doing a lot of things, trying to keep my head above water half the time.
That kind of reminds me. One time I was working at a hotel, and they had this huge air conditioner dehumidifier combo piece of equipment that was custom made for their pool room.
hmm Pool pack, and
I
there's a whole
mean,
bunch of different ones.
the thing had like three different condensers in different places. Held a ton of refrigerant. In fact, it had like it's kind of like an accumulator with a sight glass on it, where you could see the level of refrigerant in there, and you
Yeah,
can charge it up by the level.
they've got all kinds of stuff out there like that, especially for your pool rooms. That's something a lot of people don't think about, but you got to keep the humidity and the dew points right in there, or everything will condensate.
But if I called tech support on that thing, I would actually speak to the people who came down and installed it.
Okay.
So they were very familiar with it. And one time they did have to come down and do a specific repair, and I was able to meet them on site, and they showed me around the piece of equipment and how it worked.
Nice.
It was really interesting.
It goes a long way. I've found that just getting on site with guys and being able to go through the sequence with them, go, look, this is how that works. And, I'm looking at it as a tech. So I'm like, use this as a diagnostic tool. You can use this here and look at this here. If this is happening, you might want to look at this, and we can go through some of that stuff. And it really helps.
Yeah, that was a service call that I'm glad I went to, because it's not every day you get to meet somebody who's involved with making the equipment and knows everything about it.
Yeah. And it's cool that they were able to help you too. I mean, some people don't answer the phone. I don't want to point out any manufacturers out there, but ain't everybody answering the phone for you when you call.
Oh, I know it. Trust me. There's some complicated Goodman air handlers that I have called about. They have a variable speed blower motor on them and this funky board on it, and it's real hard to tell what that board's telling the motor. And I
Yeah.
called tech support on them one time, and it took them about 20 minutes, but they did call me back. And basically what he told me was, if that thing's sitting there rocking like a X13 motor, replace the motor. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. That's
Just
all I
just
needed
needed
to hear.
just needed a little guidance. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, that's right. So, but yeah, it took about 20 minutes for them to call me back, and I was still
And
on
that's
site.
that's pretty good. I mean, hell, you can't. Like I said, some of them aren't answering the phone. I mean, it's some of the bigger manufacturers will. I mean, Liebert has got good tech support. They've got great tech support. Captive Air is not bad. They'll answer the phone and help you out. We've got good tech support. Um, yeah, so it's not all gone. It's just hard for some of the smaller companies, and like Goodman and stuff. Like, how many tech support guys can they keep hanging out? Like, you can't just hire a bunch of guys to hang out and pay them to wait for somebody to call.
I
You gotta
know.
have the calls coming in.
I think of the ECM motors, Victor, that those are some of the worst ones out there. They are terrible. And somebody who happens to be doing a lot of marketing in the United States right now, a German company producing inverter-driven systems, is putting broad ocean motors in their air handlers.
I've never dealt with one exactly, but I've heard those before. Those are the ones that kept dying and had all the problems, right?
Well, yeah, they're easily identifiable because most of them have a pigtail on them. They're like the only ones that have that pigtail. And Bosch likes to put them in their air handlers. Don't know why, but they do.
Yeah, you'd think I don't know. I think that sometimes they're overcomplicated. You've got everything else variable and stuff. It's like, I mean, I'm not so much residential, so we use three-phase motors and a VFD, so it's a little bit, it's pretty easy to diagnose. There's nothing that complicated about it.
Well, I try to look at these inverter-driven systems. I try to look at them like a ECM motor. The electronics for this three-phase compressor are basically the module. And it can get a signal to tell the thing to come on. If the module's fried, it's not going to run. If the compressor is just slightly shorted, it's going to trip out that module. It's not going to run.
Yeah, it's an inverter is a VFD, right? So we're just controlling you bring AC voltage in and it cleans up the voltage, and you put a clean DC voltage out to the motor and drive the motor.
Well, when people say DC voltage to the motor, that's a little bit misleading for most people because it is a varying DC signal. Basically, the arc of the voltage never goes below zero, so it's still a DC signal, but it's going up and down. The frequency's varying, and
Like an AC signal. Yeah.
yeah, like an AC signal, but it is technically DC.
But it's all inputs and outputs. So, like,
Yeah.
we use digital scrolls in a lot of ours, and it's you got the Copeland digital scroll module, and you give it a command basically, like closing Y1 to R, and you send it an analog signal. So ours is like 2 to 5 volts. So we send 2 to 5 volts DC to it, and it loads and unloads the digital compressor based on that speed signal. So at 5 volts, it's at 100%. It's not unloading. At 3 volts, it's at 50%, say. So
Is
it's
that
loading.
something that a field technician can test and see?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with as long as you know what you're looking for, that's the trick. Is like, Copeland's really good about putting. So you can pull up a Copeland digital scroll module. I've got one on the computer here in front of me that it's it's easy to find that stuff. If you want Copeland spoiling stuff, go find their AE bulletins. Just type in AE bulletin for whatever thing that you're looking for, and there's all kinds of information. It tells you how to diagnose it, what to expect, what to look for. um, it's not that complicated. It's just being able to find the information sometimes can be difficult.
Yeah, I have noticed that a lot of manufacturers, at least with residential equipment that are making these inverter systems, they kind of keep all that stuff a secret. They don't want you to know. Even the terminals for the compressor are hidden because they don't really want you to put an amp meter around them. They don't want you testing the voltage on them.
Well, you got to be careful. So, like with a variable speed compressor, you're not, or yes, with a true variable compressor, like if you put a meg ohm meter on it, you can damage the compressor. You're
Yes,
not supposed to meg ohm them. Like there's when you're talking a residential market, like there's a lot of guys running around trying to kill stuff. Like they can kill. I mean, they're doing dumb stuff on easy things, much less something they don't understand. So I think they try to keep them out of tearing something up worse than it already is.
I see that, but I'm curious. I want to know what frequency it's running at. I want that to be information
It should
that
be,
should be
but
like in the owner's manual. Okay, is it running at top frequency or is it not? But they don't they don't
yeah,
publish that.
yeah. I haven't dealt with a whole lot of the residential ones, but they should if they're not publishing it, or if you can't go find it somewhere, that's just wrong. Like a smart guy should be able to go read the manual and figure out what signal it's looking for and be able to put it at 100%. That's the trick with your variable speed stuff. If you're going to test it or something, you got to test it at 100%, or you're
I
just
know it,
yeah,
and a lot of them you got to go like on this Bosch. It does have a button that you can put it in charge mode or something like that. And there's some other ones like from Carrier and Train with their user interface. You have to put it in 100% or charge mode, similar thing. So it runs at 100%, so you can test it or charge it at
yeah,
100%.
yeah. That's the idea.
Let me see. Ewok's here. He must have just got off work.
So people,
Uh,
I've seen him out there a lot lately too.
yeah, he's putting out a lot of content.
These a lot of young dudes coming in here. I like to see it.
Yeah, me too. I feel like this complaint that we all make that nobody's getting into the trades, we're a dying breed and stuff like. I think we've been saying that all along, for forever.
Yeah,
So it,
before us, they,
yeah,
they're the generations before us were talking the same way about the kids coming up. Oh, I don't want to work. They, blah blah blah, this and that. It's a bunch of BS. So we just do the same thing over and over again.
they're there. They're there. They just,
They're coming in. Well, I think a lot of this helps it. A lot of those young dudes out there putting content out. Uh,
yeah.
you know,
You know,
it's
part of one of the reasons I'm doing what I I do. I want to show that it's doable and let people realize that not going to college is a real option. It really is.
Yeah, you can make six figures out there and more. Like go, now's the time, man. Go get your money. If you're
I, know-
if you're young and you ain't in the trades, you got. I mean, you go to
I
college if
mean,
you want.
I spoke with Jake, Jake in a blue collar, and he said 3 years in working as a technician, he was already making six figures.
It
That
depends on location, but yeah,
that wasn't the case with me. I live in a rural place.
yeah.
I didn't make my six figures until I started my own business. And I'll be honest, I haven't met an engineer that makes more money than I do.
Well, I mean,
And
you.
that's what I went into school for. That's what I
Yeah,
went into school for initially. And I'm like, I'm happier doing what I do and I'm making more money.
yeah.
So,
It's. I mean, I hear you. And you're only limited by what you can actually physically do, right? Like, it's all you. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of the beauty of it too, is you can take and leave things.
yeah. And the hours in the day, I got to get home at a certain time. I got to eat, clean myself up. And, you know, I got to be able to do that. If it weren't for that, I could be out there working all day and all night. But, I did that when I worked for other companies. They had me working until 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I very quickly got away from that. Let's put it that way. I couldn't live like that for months on end. That was just terrible.
It's tough. That's part of the tough part of the trade, and I think a lot of people get in and they're in that first stage of their career, and they're getting run to death.
Well,
Especially residential. It's harder to do that. I mean, supermarket guys get beat up too because it's just nonstop. But
and
it's hard
and
to do that in that world.
I got to imagine the guys that are doing restaurants too. Like if a walk-in cooler or freezer goes down, you got to get out there right away.
Yep.
And uh, I quickly got to in my business anyway. At first, I was doing 24/7 emergency calls. You call, if you pay the money, I'll come out. And not anymore. A few years ago, I changed my Yellow Pages listing to by appointment only, and now I'm not even in the Yellow Pages anymore.
I
At a
don't
certain,
think anybody has yellow pages anymore.
I quit paying for it. It's worthless. Wait a minute. There's a story that comes with that. Okay, Yellow Pages is a prepay thing. You pay in advance to be in the Yellow Pages. And I had been doing it for years and years and years. So I finally decided, you know what? I'll keep that $1,000 because it ain't doing me any good. So I just didn't pay to renew it.
They kept putting you in there, didn't they?
And they started sending collection agencies after me for not paying in advance for a service that I didn't want. Oh, my. If I had a lawyer call me one time about it, and I was like, buddy, good luck. You're trying to collect on a
Yeah,
pay in advance thing for something I don't want. I was like, good luck. I ain't paying you a dime.
yeah. I think you got a bad deal, anyways. The yellow pages ain't gonna be around. Like I said, ain't nobody get yellow pages.
No, no. Well, that's why I was dropping it. It was worthless.
We all got these things in our hands. Those calculators they told us we'd never have in our pockets at school. You never have a calculator in your pocket. You better learn how to do this. Write it out.
Tis true. That's right. But yeah, they then they said they were trying to collect because I didn't cancel something. I mean, no.
That
So
was yellow. That was Yellow Pages' last ditch effort to just try to stay alive, man.
that's what it is. I know it. They were bought by some kind of advertising company that's building websites and doing other kinds of advertising. I forget what it was. Thrive. That's what it was. Yellow Pages were bought by Thrive. THRYV.
Hmm.
So if you ever get a email wanting to market your business by Thrive, part of that portfolio is the Yellow Pages.
It's Yellow Pages. I think they've probably thrown that one away by now. They're not advertising much.
Oh, but even when I did advertise in the Yellow Pages, I just had like a little 1-inch ad under air conditioning and another one under heating contractors, and it's very simplistic. I saw everybody else had something there. I felt like I had to too,
Yeah,
and over the time, I probably kept them for like 12 years. Maybe a dozen calls from that. I mean,
yeah.
that's not worth it.
No, it's not. But I mean, guys of a certain only guys of a certain age remember that stuff. Like now, it's getting to the point where you said Yellow Pages. There's people in the chat right now that probably don't know what Yellow Pages is. But I can remember, before when you wanted to look something up, if you wanted to call and order a damn pizza, you were going to go to the Yellow Pages and find the number. That's just what you had to do.
You know something? I was having a conversation with my wife the other day, talk about showing our age. One of my first jobs I had was at a Rose's. And I worked the floor just like all the other young kids out there. And back in the day, there were no video cameras. The way they kept track of people and the people perusing the aisles in their store, they had little peepholes.
Yeah.
Anywhere there was a second floor capability in the store, like in the layaway section and all that stuff, it's like a warehouse. There were little sections where there was a peephole where they could look out over everybody. That's just
It's crazy how far we've come.
that's just one of those things from back in the day. I remember the peephole. The manager was always telling me I was talking to the girls too much or something. Oh, oh.
Unc says Yellow Pages was for pizza and lawyers.
Oh man, oh man. Let me see. Well, Timmy, how old are you, Timmy? Let us
I
know.
think, I think he skipped ahead. He said 62.
62. Oh, there he is. Yeah. Well, I'm 54. I'm one of these Gen Xers that was raised with no car seats, no internet. You get home from school and you get on your bicycle and you just run the neighborhood.
Uh,
Nobody. I mean, we were latchkey
right.
kids. We were latchkey kids. Just come home alone. That's the way we
Yeah,
live.
that's kind of we did the same. I'm 40, so I'm like right on that borderline Gen Xer. But I mean, it was you left in the morning. There ain't nothing to do. You go figure something out to do, and when the street lights are on, you come back.
Oh man, I just remember some of the stuff we did was crazy. We would get in bottle rocket fights. We would stuff a firecracker into a pine cone and throw it like a hand grenade at. And I had this go kart. Um, it's like my sister had a moped and I had a go kart, and I would try to jump this go kart. I kept breaking the frame on it. It ain't got no. Now the go karts today, they have like almost like a racing car seat with buckles on it and stuff like that. This was a bench seat for two people, no seat belts or anything like that, and we're jumping at probably 4 or 5 feet in the air.
Yeah, we did. We were bike kids. We rode our bikes around, but we did some crazy stuff on some bikes. Timmy says dirt clog fights. Yeah, throwing dirt clogs at each other.
Yeah.
Rock fights. You live by the railroad tracks. You ever had a rock fight?
Oh, don't get hit in the head with a green pine cone. That's one of the worst. Um, he's right. You knew where everybody. Hold on a second. I got to click on this one.
Yeah.
You knew everyone was by how many bikes were in. That's where you knew where your kids were hanging out by looking where the bikes were.
Now you got to track their phone.
Although you don't have to worry about what your kids are doing online. Yeah. In fact, the first computers I remember, I was in high school. We had a computer class where we were being taught how to do. I think it was DOS on
DOS.
Commodore 64. It couldn't communicate with anything, but you could write a little bit of code and make a little program or something. And Later, you could hook up a printer to it.
Floppy disk.
Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah, the early control systems. So I worked on a few of those early control systems that were the train was DOS back way back. And
Really?
it was their BAS system was DOS. So you would have to go in and you had to know the correct buttons to push because you would have to control all blah 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 whatever you have to have the correct buttons, and it would take you to the next page. But it was like I can remember the first time I saw because that a little before my time. And I'm like, I don't. Like I could halfway navigate it, but one of our old guys came in one time and he was like just typing away. I'm like, what the hell, man? But that's what he knew. Like I could plug my
Oh,
computer in. I'm like, I need my computer to plug in this damn thing.
oh well. Atari. And we got people talking about Atari Space Invaders.
That's a good one. Excite Bike. You ever play Punch Out?
Oh, wait a minute. I got to click on this one by Rudy here. Not too long ago, all the service techs had a GPS hanging right there by their rearview mirror. Do you remember those? I was using maps. I had gotten really good at using maps, and I just noticed everybody was using these GPSs, and they talked about how great they were. So I went and got one, and probably 3 or 4 years later, I'm doing GPS on my iPad. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They went out of style real quick.
Yeah. No, I mean I can remember driving the service truck and having to pull out your map. You had a map book and you would go find where you're going and you'd be following the roads. Like I
I
can
know
remember
it. You would look
talk
up
about
on the
driving. They talk about driving distracted now. They're trying to drive and read a map.
you would look up your road name. It would give you a grid number. You find it in the grid. In fact, if you ever see any videos or pictures of my office, there's a map hanging on the wall. That is a laminated map from the times I was using a map to get around town.
In your local area, so you could
Yeah,
go back. Yeah, you knew where you were going. Yeah,
you could go to like Books a Million or something and buy a local map, and that's what I did.
these are dying things that we're never gonna. You're never gonna see again. Like nobody's gonna look in a map book to figure out where they're going.
I know.
Nobody's opening yellow pages to call the pizza place down the road.
If they are, they probably got gray hair.
Yeah.
Oh. I remember I was proud of the first time I saw my company's name in the yellow pages. I was like, look at there, I've made it.
I made it. I made the yellow pages.
Oh, wow. Oh.
You had at the time. You did make it.
It was a struggle to begin with, but
Everything's a struggle to begin with. Ain't nothing easy that's worth having.
you know,
You made it all the way here.
part of me is kind of looking forward to one day retiring, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to because I just love getting out there and doing it. If I have a day where there's not much going on, I miss it. It's like I want to call a customer, hey, can I come work on your air conditioner? I want to get out there and do something.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I'm similar. I can't turn it off sometimes. I like talking BS and HVAC with guys, and I'd like to retire someday too. Um, luckily, I think, but at this point, I'll be able to retire before I'm ready to retire.
Yeah, I think as long as there's no major like health catastrophe or something like that, when I hit 60, 62 years old, my intention is to try to go camping, get me an Airstream, a nice new truck, and just travel around the country and hit some of these great campgrounds
I,
across the country.
I got an uncle that does that. He just kind of roams the earth, man. He's got a camper and he drives around. He stops and visits family, and just enjoys life. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think my granddad kind of instilled the love of trying to do something like that in me because he used to go camping and take us camping. It's just a nice way to spend your time. You get to go to some great places,
I tell you what, that's been the fun part about this is I've been traveling And I've been able to go to these places and not only meet the techs, but you meet the people that are there, and you start to see what's out there more. I never traveled before, so that's been a really interesting part, is just talking to the people where everywhere and talking to the technicians, being able to get on a roof with them has been pretty cool.
Yeah, before I went to AHR in Orlando, I hadn't really gotten out from my area in Georgia, South Carolina, unless it was to go to a funeral or something like that. So I
Yeah,
really enjoyed getting out there and seeing other people and talk to other people. I went to Milwaukee recently for their pipeline event and got to meet a lot of great people up there and see what
I
they
saw some
do.
of the videos. Yeah,
That was real fun, and I had never seen Lake Michigan, so I made a trip over to Lake Michigan to take a look at it, and it's very comparable to the Gulf Coast when it's calm waters, clear water, and very kind of
yeah.
flat, calm water, just pristine beaches. It was real nice.
There's beautiful land everywhere. I flew into Boston and drove up to New Hampshire, and it's just, I mean, it's beautiful land. And I stopped back on my way back. I stopped in Boston. I actually was trying to navigate through the city, get back to the airport, and I saw a harbor, and I was like, "Oh, that looks cool." So I drove down to the harbor, and I just got some pictures and got a feel for the city and where everything was. And I was like, "This is freaking cool."
Yeah, yeah, that'd be nice.
You going to HR this year
I think I will. There's a
or
there's a big
next year?
part
I
of
guess.
there's a big part of me that don't want to go. I'm such a homebody, but
I heard that.
there's a
It's
big there's a big part of me that don't want to go. I think for the awards show they're going to ask me to present an award,
mhm.
but I probably will. I probably will. I just hadn't. I hadn't fully decided to. I hadn't bought my plane tickets yet.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to HR for with work this year, so it'll be interesting. Um, it's I've never been to Vegas, so it'll be fun.
Me neither.
I don't think I'm going to make the award show. I wish I was, but
The Vegas part of it to me was kind of a drawback.
well, it's a I mean, that's a longer flight for you, right? And I mean, I'm not. I mean, if you're going for AHR, so like you're not hanging out on the strip
No,
and doing the Vegas thing. So
like when I was in Orlando, I would go to AHR. I'd get something to eat, go to AHR, spend the whole day there, come back to my hotel. I would do some Grubhub food, order it to my hotel room, and I'd stay there the whole night. I didn't go out. I didn't go to none of those after parties. It was almost like work trying to walk around and see everything. It's kind of taxing on you. It's
it is. It was a lot. I mean, there's a lot there. It's going to be interesting this year because I didn't go. I did the same thing because I drove when it was in Chicago. I drove, and um, actually that's where I met the people that I work with now. Actually, I met them for the first time when I took like 3 days off, drove to Chicago to go to HR and paid for Chicago myself, um, just to go up there. And
you know,
it's a lot of work, and it's not, you're not making money if you're at AHR, so I get it.
I know it. Well, I drove to Orlando. For me, that was just over a 4 hour drive. I don't think people understand how close I am to
How close
Florida.
it is. I've got
Um,
my family. Some of my family's from Lexington, South Carolina. I don't know where
oh,
that is compared to where you're at, but
dude, my family literally for hundreds of years have lived in the Columbia area, and that includes Lexington, South Carolina.
nice.
I just went to a family reunion in Lexington, South Carolina.
Okay.
Um, I got a lot of family there. I've got cousins and uncles, people I don't even know that are my family. This last family reunion I met, I guess it was the children of my dad's cousins, So I guess that makes them my cousins too, and they all live around in that same area, and that was interesting.
Yep. The you know any Master Colas?
I do not.
That's their last name. So
Okay. Yeah, Orlando was a lot. I mean, for a HR is a trade show like nothing I imagined. It is much
there's
big.
so much.
If you've never been there, it is bigger than you imagine. You'll never see it all.
Yeah, it's a
So
lot.
so what I would
There's
do,
so much going on.
I would make a list of who I wanted to go see. I'd find out where their booth was and kind of navigate my way over there and just look at stuff on my way over to where I wanted to go. And
It's a good way to go.
that's just how I did it. I had very little time of just meandering around and looking at stuff, and there's just so much there.
Yeah. That was I went by myself, and I just kind of wandered around. I didn't really have anywhere to go. Actually, I met up with Jake and Adrian and a bunch of those guys and met them up there. Ryan and Rick were up there too. That's the first time I actually got to meet those guys in person, so that was pretty cool too.
Really?
I've talked to them like you. I've talked to you here. Like I've talked to a lot of these guys, but I've never like seen them. It was cool to like, hey, what's up, man? Shake their hand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, look, man, we have gone over schedule. We've done like about an hour and a half. So I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody thank you for showing up tonight. It turned out to be a great show. I
But yeah,
appreciate you coming on, man. It was nice talking to you. I feel like I know you much better now.
anytime, brother. If next time you need a guest, you let me know. I'm always happy to chat.
Well, it was really great. I'm glad you'll come on again. I probably will ask you again.
Maybe I'll see you at AHR.
Probably. Well, guys, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.